9th, 2016. I got breaking news. The Dow Jones today plunged almost 400 points, and that's pretty big. It's the second worst plunge of the year. Um, and one of the reason is because of the G20 and our global economy is slowing down. So I'm going to just read a little bit of this. The Dow fell nearly 400 points, the biggest drop since June. All 10 sectors in the S&P 500 were in red. Oil prices plummet, gold was down, and U.S. bonds sank as well as pushing their yield higher. In other words, there was nowhere to hide. Thank God it's Friday, not this particular Friday. You guys can read the rest. So they're talking about how the Dow is going down, how the global economy is slowing down, how in Europe with the UK want to leave the European Union, how our stock market's on edge, folks. But today it plunges 400 points. Another big news, even though this happened a few years ago between certain time frame, is Wells Fargo. Okay, and the reason you guys should care about this is Wells Fargo is a bank. The link's gonna be at the bottom. Check it out. And if you have employees making up accounts and putting in people's name every single day, okay, the Wells Fargo wanted these little people to do it so they can make money. So it looks like their bank is growing. Okay, without that, well, check out Wells Fargo. We're gonna see something big gonna happen to Wells Fargo, the stocks and all that. That's some big news, folks. And Wells Fargo is a big bank, okay? If they're making up bank accounts out of people's names, all that to deposit money so it looks like they're making more money, that's a lie. That's a scam. But what's scary about the Dow Jones dropping, there's going to be a lot of other articles you guys could check out. 400 points is that it's Friday. Monday morning, hopefully our economy is all right and it comes back up, but we're almost in October. And in October the 1st, 2016, China enters the IMF as one of those 6 global reserve currency, and that's a big deal. Even though China is the second biggest country economically out there, and we're number one, you gotta be thinking everything is going on. Okay, G20, all right, was hosted in China. North Korea is testing missiles, nuclear missiles, and that's an ally to China. Okay, they want the SDR currency. Billionaire in China is got stockpiles in Mexico of aluminum so they could control the there's going to be a link at the bottom. Chinese billionaire linked to giant aluminum stockpile in the Mexican desert so they could control, well, he could control the aluminum sector of the world. Okay? But what other is big is, like, people ain't talking about that, is the SDR. All right? When China enters the IMF and they already have, all right, the Chinese challenges U.S. dollar hemorrhaging, seeking new global financial order. I'm just going to read a little bit of this. During the first annual summit organized by the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, AIIB, in Beijing, China has shown her intention to take over the global leadership in infrastructure investment by the end of this year. The AIIB would have more than 100 members, making it the first lending institution in multiple loan in history under the control of the most important emergencies countries. Yet, it is expected that she make the decision dropping off the dollar. You see, people don't realize that on October the 1st, when they come in, it might take a few weeks, it might take a couple months, but we're going to see our economy. We're in $19.5 trillion in debt, almost in $20 trillion in debt, and they got 53 members so far, including our allies, France, including a lot of countries, okay? And I'm going to have the link of the board of governors, the board of director. It's an international financial institution. It's another World Bank, okay, but it's by China, okay, and they're going to be controlling the lens and stuff. And check this out. It's going to be at the bottom too. So think of an Asian infrastructure bank as a bold experiment on the world stage for Chinese national policy and its ability to run an international organization China style. Top-down governments will be surely tested. And the reason, and the link's going to be at the bottom, you guys can read it. The reason they're doing that is in case of emergency. Okay? Emergency. They're doing it in case of a global emergency when our stocks collapse. To Canada applied for China-backed AIIP, so it's gonna be 54. China's World Bank. This is very important. I'm gonna read it to you guys. The link's gonna be at the bottom. And this thing is slow. All right, so since the end of World War II, the U.S., Western Europe, Japan have controlled much of the business of loaning money to poor countries to help them build public works and strengthen weak economies. And that was the main purpose this year too, G20. Instead of having our economy slow down, they want to pick it up. Okay, and since they're in the situation, they were created in case of an emergency. In case of emergency, folks. All right, so if our stock market collapsed, they got back up, and all these countries backed up. Okay, and that's just crazy. So I want everyone to check this out, all these articles, because it's messed up that China doesn't know that. All right, we're entering a new world order. Okay, we're entering a new world order that's coming soon. Okay, even China become number one economy, and our global economy collapse, and then China has a good economy, number one, they're going to collapse surely after. Because without America, China doesn't exist. Because we buy all their stuff. Simple as that. Okay? So I want everyone out there, be prepared, do some research, read these articles, because our economy's on the brink, folks. We're either going to see between October the 1st, 14th, a major economy collapse. Our Dow Jones collapsed 400 points. Wells Fargo's. So that shows other banks are out there making up accounts. So it looks like we're profitable. We're in debt $19.5 trillion by the end of the year, $20 trillion. And all our allies and countries are investing in this new central bank in China. Okay? And they become one of the 6 world reserve currency on October the 1st. And Russia, China, Japan, North Korea, South Korea, they're going to drop it. Even though they might be enemies, Japan and South Korea, towards North Korea, and they don't really like China and Russia, but they're going to invest in it so their economy stays stable. That's a bet on that. And other countries, even our allies, are investing in that just in case. Well, we all know that our economy is going to collapse one day, but it's coming soon, folks. And so everyone's betting on the Chinese yuan, the SDR, and their new international bank. Okay, this is the No Face Movement. Till next time, please like and subscribe to my channel. I'm going to be back on Tuesday, the 13th. I got weather coming up, and there's a lot of important information, so please check that out. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. It's at the beginning of my YouTube page. Just go down to Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. This is the movement. Till next time, facing off.